VGK advances to the Western Conference Finals for the fourth time in its 6 years of existence. Is a new rivalry born between VGK and the Oilers? And who would be the better matchup for VGK in the WCF, Dallas or Seattle?
You're Locked On Golden Knights, your daily podcast on the Vegas Golden Knights, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Hi again, everyone. Tony Cordasco and Chris Kollick. We come to you from Las Vegas. It is the start of a new week. Thanks for making us your first listen each and every day. You can find us on Twitter at Tony Dasco, at TD Chris G, at Locked On VGK. Of course, our YouTube home is Locked On Golden Knights. Please subscribe there. The Golden Knights advancing to the Western Conference Finals as Jonathan Marchessault had a natural hat trick, 3 straight goals in a row in the second period. Vegas comes from behind. They were down 2-1 at the time, and they win this game by a final count of 5-2 as they take the series in 6 games. An impressive closeout, Chris, by the VGK in a series that had all of the elements. You know, I don't believe VGK will play this type of hockey again the rest of the way. We saw suspensions and fights and nonsense and dirty plays and all of that. And luckily for VGK, it only went 6 games. If they played a 7th, they could have worn down even more, right? And so VGK, after we saw that impressive first period by Edmonton, we saw the Golden Knights come back. And I felt that in most instances, as you watch this game progress, it was VGK, perhaps in its depth, that took over in the game as the Golden Knights, I thought, wore down the Oilers, especially in the second period of this game.
You felt it coming. I put it out there sometime in the second period that if VGK can, they found their game, right? They found their game. Edmonton is wearing down, and it's only a matter of time until it starts paying dividends. And I didn't think it was going to necessarily be 3 Marchessault goals, bang, bang, bang. But that's obviously how the cookie crumbled. And, how about Aidan Hill? Aidan Hill? 2 goals early. And what was it? 56 minutes of shutout hockey after that or something crazy like that, whatever it was. I mean, Aidan Hill made some remarkable saves. The first Connor McDavid goal, he wants that one back. So be it. McDavid put it in the perfect spot. Didn't look good, but, still McDavid doing his thing. And after that, it was a really good effort. There's so many things to point to. You said, will they have another series with this much animosity and all the craziness? The answer is, yeah, it definitely could happen. It definitely, the temperature seems to go up throughout the playoffs. Last game didn't have much for the Vegas Golden Knights, right? Edmonton seemed more focused on winning the game versus trying to engage after the whistle and things like that. Whoever Vegas plays the next round, those first 2 games, they're going to be pretty nasty. They're going to be teams trying to establish themselves, and you're going to see some of the stuff that reminded you of this Oilers Vegas Golden Knights series, whoever that next opponent may be, of course.
Okay, I wanted to talk about Aidan Hill as well. Had the rocky start. The first 2 shots were goals by Edmonton that got past him. McDavid through the legs of the passenger McNabb. And then Warren Foegele also beat McNabb in front of the net, the passenger, after the Riley Smith goal to open up the game just 24 seconds in. And it's so bizarre, the ESPN coverage or lack thereof, and that they moved the game to ESPN2. At least it wasn't True TV, but they missed the first 3 goals on ESPN. They had the split screen, and oh my goodness, what a disaster. But Hill then proceeds, to your point, I don't know what it is about Vegas goaltending. We also saw this with Laurent Brossoit in that he was shaky early in games, and then he just settled in and started to play much better. And Aidan Hill proceeded then to stop the next 37 consecutive shots. 37. in a row. That's phenomenal. Is he out of the doghouse yet? Someone
We'll
said that
see
didn't
about.
exist. Someone was tweeting, no, that's just overblown. Was he in
I
the
mean,
doghouse? He
there's things
was.
you see by being in back of house, and we'll leave it at
Right.
that. But
Okay.
you know, moving on from that, yeah, Aidan Hill was phenomenal, and I did mention when Brossoit went down, unfortunately, that Aidan Hill could be an upgrade. Now, that was not taking a shot at Brossoit by any means. Brossoit did everything to earn the net. Only way he was losing the net was with a series of poor performances, which never did happen, or an injury, which unfortunately did happen. So Aidan Hill, we talked about his numbers, 20 or 16 and 7 or something like that. His goals against and his save percentage metrics were there. And he came in and seized the moments. He seized the moment in the two games where he did really well. He shut Edmonton down and shut him down pretty hard. So I'm fully confident that Aidan Hill could possibly, take us all the way. I mean, you can argue Aidan Hill stole this game, right? Early in the game, 2 quick goals, fine, whatever. And you mentioned Braden McNabb. Fortunately, he was on the ice for both of those. The first goal, he was kind of where he was supposed to be, just a screen. But the second goal, Fogle comes right down the Las Vegas Strip, not Broadway, right down the Las Vegas Strip, and Potts one there. So what can you do about that? But Aidan Hill, he's getting it done right now, and I mean, I guess the real question is, will we see Yuri Patera at some points in a Vegas Golden Knights uniform, the way these goalies are dropping down the stretch? I go back to when the Chicago Blackhawks defeated the Philadelphia Flyers and won their first of 3 cups in the 2010 era, I guess you can call it. And Michael Leighton was like the Flyers' 4th or 5th string, and he was actually the goalie in the deciding game. So it's crazy how these things can happen, but let's not get too far without mentioning the McCrimmon plan, Kelly McCrimmon, and the job he's done at putting an amazing roster together that has depth everywhere.
The Eichel plan. I said he'll live or die with Eichel and his play.
Hey,
end of story, right?
He's living.
I mean,
he's living high right now. He's living high and mighty.
The Marchessault natural hat trick. I had people asking me what a natty hattie actually was. And of course, that's 3 consecutive goals without anyone else scoring a goal. And so Marchessault, that was tremendous. And he also did this, I believe, in 2019. That second goal, they thought he might have kicked in, but Barbashev had 2 really nice passes, 2 good assists there on 2 of the 3 goals for Marchessault, who really came around because he was really quiet for a while. He started to get some jump. He and Eichel started to play much better together on the same line, and he had 5 goals in this series.
How about Aidan Hill starting the rush, which was either the tying or the leading goal? I forgot which one it was. And literally the second I put the tweet out there, ESPN, they come back from commercial, watch Aidan Hill. Like, dang it, I want to be the only one pointing that out, but so be it. Maybe they saw my tweet, Tony.
Yeah, he poked it out there. Nice poke.
He did. And, you watch how well Brossoit was playing the puck before he went down and got injured. And Aidan Hill has had issues with playing the puck, and he almost did. He almost did in the third period, and so did Alec Martinez, for that matter. Those demons kind of came back, but the VGK defense was able to bail him out there. So, that was a little nerve-wracking, but we got things under control.
You were right about Bruce Cassidy out coaching the better coach in this series coming into it. You made a really bold prediction. You're absolutely right. Jay Woodcroft / Jimmy Fallon, not very good. He didn't play McDavid and Draisaitl together much in the final game of this series, which I thought was really bizarre. And then Jack Campbell should have been the starter. I can't stress this enough.
He started the second half of the series.
Right. So in net, 120 plus playoff minutes, and he stopped 49 out of 51 shots. I can't quite understand. That was one of the biggest blunders in not starting someone who, again, is more of a veteran. Someone pointed out and then erased their tweet about how Campbell was just bad during the regular season, but never did any homework on the postseason, for crying out loud. And then Leon Draisaitl, shut out for the 3rd time, kept off of the score sheet. So VGK, you could tell
that part felt good. That felt good.
Well, you could tell what their approach was, right, Chris? We talked about this early in the series. Pick your poison, shut down one of them, and they decided to just go after and shut down Leon Draisaitl. And okay, let McDavid score his goals, do what he does, but make sure that you collapse and you guard and you give some extra attention to Leon Draisaitl. That was, to me, was the turning point of this entire series, was their ability to shut him down and keep him off the score sheet.
You wonder if Pietrangelo did some damage to his wrist on that slash. I mean, I think that's fair to acknowledge. I mean, that was a heck of a whack, and there's some protection depending on exactly where the contact happened. But still, you do wonder if something happened, and you definitely have to mention the handshake line and basically Draisaitl. It was almost like a Trump handshake where he kind of grabbed his hand and
away.
Pushed it away. Like fine, dude. You know, it's over. You want to take that shot? Fine, whatever. I'll see you on the golf course, bro. Like, I don't know how else to say it if that's how he wants to be, but I don't blame him to a degree as well. I mean, it was a rough series, and that was a crappy move, but Draisaitl is also scum when he wants to be too, in some of the things that he did out there with some of those backslashes. And you can go on YouTube and just type in Leon Draisaitl slashes and McDavid dirty plays for that matter. They both have a montage of pretty dirty plays when they want to be. But moving forward from that, just like the Golden Knights are moving forward in the playoffs, it's weird. You look at the depth that the Oilers have. Like, they have high-end depth, right? It's not just McDavid and Draisaitl on paper. You got Nugent Hopkins, you got Evander Kane, like two other people who can score, 30, 40 goals. Nugent Hopkins was a 100-point player, I believe. And Evander Kane, if he didn't miss, 2 or 3 months with that terrible injury, he might have also had, a 40-goal season or something like that. So, the depth was there, but Nugent Hopkins and Evander Kane, I think Evander Kane was 1 point the entire series, if I'm not mistaken. So Evander Kane, all that chirping, and when he stayed on the ice longer in game 5 to get the crowd riled, all amped up and stuff like that. That was on my Twitter. I don't know if a lot of people caught that or not, but during warmups, right? The players are on the ice, they're doing their thing. The clock goes, usually the second the clock is gone, the players are off the ice, plus or minus, 3 or 4 seconds after that final horn goes. Evander Kane stayed out there for 30 seconds. He was going really slow, handling the puck, moving around. The louder the boos got, the slower he made his way to the bench. So, listen, I kind of like him trying to do that sort of thing, but at the end of the day, he was as relevant to this series as Ryan Reeves is the most series. Ooh.
And of course, we saw that Cassidy becomes the third coach in NHL history to take a team to the conference finals in his first season. So
Dobor has to be one also.
Terrific job by Cassidy. Oh, wow. So that's 2 of the 3.
Dobor's got to be one of them because he's done it. I feel like he did it twice too. San Jose and New Jersey.
What were some of the keys to winning this series against the Oilers? We discuss that next, right here on Locked On Golden Knights. Today's episode is brought to you by a product that we literally use each and every day. It's AG1 by Athletic Greens. Maybe you're like us, you want to be healthy and you want to eat well, notwithstanding those red velvet pancakes yesterday at the Wynn. But it's always easier said than done. There's no longer the case to do that, as you have AG1 at your disposal. With one delicious scoop of AG1 and a glass of water each day, you are absorbing, Chris, 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, whole food-sourced superfoods, probiotics, and adaptogens to help you get the day off started on the right foot. The special blend of ingredients supports your gut health, your nervous system, your immune system, your energy, recovery, focus, and aging, all of those things. It can be hard and expensive to keep track of all of those multiple different supplements and vitamins, not to mention how hard it could be on your stomach by just changing up everything with all of those pills. AG1 costs you less than $3 per day, and you are investing in your health, and it's cheaper than your cold brew habit. Right now, it's the time to reclaim your health and to arm your immune system with convenient daily nutrition. To make it easy, Athletic Greens is going to give you a free 1-year supply of immune-supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. All you have to do is visit athleticgreens.com/NHL Network. Again, athleticgreens.com/NHL Network to take ownership over your health and pick up the ultimate daily nutritional insurance. Welcome back to Locked On Golden Knights. Tony Cardasco and Chris Golick. We come to you from Las Vegas each and every day.
Why are you wearing that
making
jersey,
us-
Tony? Why are you wearing that
Thank
jersey?
you for making us your first listen. Go to the YouTube channel and subscribe, baby, right there. This is for the little one, the biscuit in the basket for Beckham. Oh my goodness, 38.8
That was the radio
seconds.
call, Tony. That was the radio call, actually. I don't know if you were listening or not. He
I
said,
wasn't
save that puck
listening.
for Beckham. That's what Dan Duva said.
Oh my gosh. Chris, I mean, the uproar on Twitter, it just went bananas last
I'm
night.
surprised you're here this morning, Tony. I thought you were going to be in the grave by now. I'm not going to lie.
Well, I had to get the tire tracks, first of all, off of this.
Yeah, you did that
I
pretty
ran
well.
it over with the car a few times. This is from season 1, the Carlson jersey. Someone gifted me this. Oh my goodness. What a
you
headache.
bought it. You bought it.
I did. It's the knockoff too. So I'm sure
I could see by the elbows.
So I said he would score under a half a goal. That was the total. That was my prediction. Start of the series. It comes down to game number 6, 38.8 seconds to go. Are you kidding me? And he gets the empty netter. I just could see that coming.
Over.
And the game went over too, because they lowered the total to 6.5. I'm like, this is where you bet the over anyway. But they made you sweat that out as well. Let's talk about some of the keys to winning this series for VGK as they win this series against the Oilers 4-2. Game 6 was a 5-2 final for VGK. And again, 2 for 2 in closeout games for the Golden Knights. A couple of keys, Chris, for the VGK. From my perspective, again, VGK won a lot of the battles, and at even strength, 5v5, they outscored the Oilers 17-10. Second period, remember what difficulty VGK had earlier in the season where they couldn't score goals in the second? They were absolutely atrocious. And in the playoffs now, 19-5 advantage for the Vegas Golden Knights. So I thought that was, an Achilles heel difficulty earlier in the season, and then got better. The PK also improved as this series wore on. And we could see this early in the series where Bruce Cassidy said, don't screw around. Just clear the puck and get it down ice and let them have to go further to set up their offense. And I thought that was a major key in this series. And then Jack Eichel, +4 last night. Can't say enough about his play. Offensively and defensively, he had 3 consecutive really good plays when they pulled Campbell out of the goal, right? Defensively, where he stopped the puck. And I thought he did a terrific job. And I think he had a little bit of a grudge going with him. And McDavid was, of course, in the spotlight. What were some of your keys?
Yeah, so I just want to look at one thing here. You said, okay, there we go. All right. So the first thing I would say is you kind of hit on it a little bit. Give me the best goalie, give me the best coach in the series, and then we'll work on our prediction once we identify those 2 keys right there. The goaltending situation and the coach kind of goes hand in hand, if you will, for the Edmonton Oilers. You pull Skinner 3 times in 5 games and you roll with him in game 6. I don't get it. How does not Skinner get a start in one of those even number or one of those odd number games along the way when things weren't going well? So that's where I'll start. And another one early on. So without McDavid and Draisaitl starting, whoever the center was took an early penalty, I believe, in game number 5 as well. So you just wonder if Woodcroft was trying to outsmart himself for whatever reason. Did very well in the AHL, a great example of a coach working their way up through the ranks like Cassidy did to get to the point where he is now. But the difference is Woodcroft just came right into, a turnkey situation with McDavid and Draisaitl. And I don't know if he's ready for this. We learned so far that, I don't think he is, but that's obviously for the Oilers to figure that out. Next up for me, as far as a key to the series, you look at the depth of both teams. You look at the depth scoring. You look at the fact that the Vegas Golden Knights were a team, and then we'll also hit the special teams now. One of my other predictions for the series, if the Vegas Golden Knights could tie or win the special teams battle for 3 games this series, I said they would advance. They did. Last night was a tie, 0-0 in the special teams, which is fine. There was 2 other games where they tied the special teams battle, and they actually lost the special teams battle in game 5, but kind of weird, with obviously the fact that all the Oilers goals were on the power play and the major. But the main key for me, you said Jack Eichel. I'll give you a stat right now. ESPN put this out before the game. The Golden Knights goal differential with Jack Eichel on the ice in 5v5 situations, VGK carried a 7-1 advantage. Now it's either 10-1 or 11-1.
I think it's 10-1. 10-1.
10-1 because the Marshall hat trick, he was on the ice for all 3 of those. So
yeah.
So Jack Eichel in 5-versus-5 play, there were 11 goals scored while he was on the ice. The Golden Knights got 10 of those goals, folks. Jack Eichel now 6 goals, 8 assists, 14 points. He's on a Conn Smythe pace, folks. He is playing on a Conn Smythe pace. Just get crazy with me for a second. It's okay. And we're in Vegas. We can think a little outside the box every now and then. If the Golden Knights are to hopefully win this entire thing, and they're only halfway there, we got a long way to go, so we're not getting too far ahead here. But could you imagine Jack Eichel carrying the Conn Smythe trophy off the ice? Could you imagine the hate, the animosity? Oh, it would be so great. It would be so wonderful.
Could you imagine if I showed up at T-Mobile Arena wearing this Carlson jersey? It'd be so wonderful.
It'd be awesome.
Not really. Game number 5.
No one to recognize you.
Game number, I would fit right in. Game number 5. I thought the 3 goals in 89 seconds, the record. I thought that was one of the highlights. And VGK, when they scored goals, they scored in bunches. I also like the response in Marchessault with his outburst with the 3 goals last night. I thought they did a really good job there as far as just the response. And then also their goals started to come in bunches. They started to get more comfortable. I don't know if there's going to be, moving forward, as much open ice for the Golden Knights. I'll be honest with you. The structures here in the WCF, either against Seattle or against Dallas, I just don't know.
They both muddy it up pretty good.
Yeah, so I think that's going to be one of the keys, and we'll talk about
Seattle,
that.
Dallas, it's been a high-scoring series, though, Tony. Like,
surprisingly,
they've scored a lot of goals that series. So
because I thought Ottinger was the savior, and I thought that he was the best goalie after their first series, and then he even got pulled the other day.
Listen, I thought the Oilers were gonna run the table in the playoffs with how well they played down the stretch, but they ran into a coach. They ran into a coach.
Did you know Edmonton was 7 of 11 in Las Vegas on power plays? 7-for-11 in games
ever here. Coffee, Tony. I love their coffee at 7-Eleven.
I did hear Eichel say, hey, I thought we played. I think it was one of the intermissions. I think he said something to the effect that, VGK, despite letting up the 3 power play goals, here in Las Vegas, I think he said something like, even though we gave up 3, I thought we did some really good things against that potent power play. And I think this is
Cassidy was fun in the press conferences. He was fun.
Yeah, I think moving forward, I think this is going to be one of the good rivalries here, especially in the division. I think this could be a lot of fun.
Definitely for Vegas. I mean, you're never going to upstage the battle for Alberta as far as Edmonton's concerned with the Flames, but definitely as far as a stateside rivalry, Vegas-Edmonton is a new rivalry born, no doubt about that, and much more intense than anything the Kings and the Sharks have ever had. Much more intense.
Coming up next, game number 7 of the series between Dallas and Seattle. Which team would be an easier opponent for VGK to face? We'll get into all that when we return right here on Locked On Golden Knights. Welcome back to Locked On Golden Knights. Tony Cardasco donning at 71, baby. Awesome. You have no idea. I had to go. You have no idea. I was up till like 2:00 in the morning, and then I had to clean it up and everything else.
Where'd you find it eventually, Tony? Was it still in the driveway?
It was, no, it was under, I have a whole stack of clothes that's supposed to go to Goodwill, and it was in there. It was in there. So game 7, Chris. Dallas and Seattle tonight. Seattle with a big win to extend this series as they won on Saturday 6-3. As we mentioned right before the break, Jake Ottinger was pulled for Scott Wedgwood, and turnovers were a big part of this game for Dallas. When you take a look back at these two series during the course of the season, who would VGK much rather play? And I would have to say Seattle, because they handled the Kraken this season, won 3 of 4, and they swept the Kraken. As we go back to the end of the season, the final 2 games of the regular season. And then you also have, Dallas, which was 3-0 against the Golden Knights. 4-0 in Las Vegas. They won 3-2 in Las Vegas. The cowboy hat came out after that shutout win for Peter DeBoering. 2-1 in Dallas on the shootout. And this was a really good series, and Dallas pretty much won in dominant fashion. But the Golden Knights now, you also have to consider now home ice advantage. Another thing that they've really turned around during the course of this season.
And the second period.
Yeah, the second period, 5v5. I mean, all these things. Cassidy's done a tremendous job in turning around a lot of these early trends that were showing this team to be going in the opposite direction.
Yeah, so going back to, first of all, starting with who would you rather play? Seattle as well. That's not a knock on Seattle, and it's not saying Seattle cannot beat the Golden Knights. So we remember, obviously, the Montreal series, unfortunately, and, started with the Marc-Andre Fleury blunder behind the net, and the rest is history, unfortunately, with that series. Seattle is a very good team. They are very deserving of, whether they get knocked out tonight or if they do advance to the Western Conference Final. Seattle is a deserving and worthy opponent. I do think the Vegas Golden Knights do match up better against Seattle, just based on history, based on the depth of the two teams. Although Seattle's built a little more like the season 1 VGK, right? They got some high-end players, but then they have a good team of players contributing. It's not just about McDavid and Draisaitl, but it's about, an entire team and the chemistry and buying into a system. Looking at the Dallas Stars, though, the Stars are a very good team. And you mentioned, Tony, they did sweep us. 2 of those came via overtime / shutout. So, a little bit of grain of salt when we think of it like that. The fact that Pete DeBoer does know this Vegas Golden Knights team, not as well as Coach Cassidy, but as far as all the remaining coaches in the NHL, he knows them better than anyone else. Can Pete DeBoer coach through a tough series and find a way to score big goals in big circumstances? That's obviously remains to be seen. We have a strange memory of Pete DeBoer in Vegas. Everyone loves him. They love his class. They love him as a human. As a coach, we can't get too far without talking about his playoff struggles, and we certainly hope that's going to continue should the Golden Knights get the Dallas Stars.
Okay, here was a horrible storyline coming out of VGK. I have to mention this because they said that Woodcroft was afraid to put Connor McDavid against Vegas Bjorn on the ice.
They did talk about that a little bit. They did talk about that.
That's so bizarre. I mean, that's just no. He should have put out.
No.
He should have put on the ice Draisaitl and Connor on the same line. And I don't understand what was going on there. Some very strange dynamic. I'm just wondering if Woodcroft's job might be in jeopardy now. I'm not quite sure. He really had a lot of blunders.
If Bruce Cassidy is the coach, what happens? If someone, Tortorella would even be a fine coach in a circumstance like that, because he's not, even McDavid and Draisaitl, he's not going to put up with their crap if they're having, an off game. He'll sit them. He'll bench them. He'll bench him in the playoffs. He don't care. I don't know if he'll go that far. But I think they definitely do need not a homegrown coach. And this is not knocking what Woodcroft has done. I love his storyline. And, you do have to acknowledge the fact that I believe in his first year, they did go to the conference final and they had a good season, right? They, obviously no one in Edmonton is happy. And I guess now Canada is out of the picture as far as the NHL playoffs go. And ESPN made it a fine point to mention how long it was since the cup, since the Campbell Bowl or whatever the other conference trophy bowl was handed off to a Canadian team. So, we got that going for us right now. And you got to wonder how the NHL is feeling about the prospect of a Seattle Florida Panthers Stanley Cup final, a Vegas Florida Stanley Cup final, Vegas Carolina. Like, as far as the 5 teams remaining right now, Vegas is the biggest market. And that's not a big market. It's not a very big market when you think about it in the grand scheme of things. So ESPN's definitely digging through their storylines to sell Vegas, because obviously that's what it's going to bring the ratings, a combination of the hates for the Golden Knights as well as, the storyline. But I'm pulling for Seattle tonight, not because I think that's an easier path for Vegas, but I just want to watch everyone's heads friggin' explode to watch 31 and 32 potentially play to represent the Western Conference. I mean, it is just remarkable how these teams can come in with a blank slate and do what they do. And now everyone's going to say, oh, well, the expansion drafts are rigged. This is clearly an example of how they're rigged if it is Seattle and Vegas. And are they rigged? No. Maybe is it a little favorable? Sure. But they also came in without any farm talent whatsoever when they first came into the league, right? They just, boom, here's your team, off you go. Seattle had 1 year to develop some players in the AHL. I don't know if any of those players are even on their roster right now. I honestly don't know, but I would just love to watch people like in Buffalo, people in Toronto, people in Edmonton, people in, well, I won't say Chicago, because Chicago's got brighter days ahead now, but just these storied franchises who absolutely hates what's happening. So just for the haterade, let's go Seattle and Vegas for the conference final. That would be so much fun. And that's not a shot at Seattle. That's simply just me wanting, like me rooting for Toronto to lose on home ice in Game 5 to be eliminated. That type of drama.
No one's going to care about that series. No one outside of the West Coast will care about VGK.
Hey, by the way, Dallas, Seattle, 5:00 start tonight. Tony, go figure. 5:00
yeah,
start.
there you go. I think we will see the split screen if it is against Seattle with the VGK Seattle game and cornhole.
No, I was gonna say paddleboat racing.
The Stars, they are allowing too many high danger chances. You talked about high scoring games. The last 2 games, Dallas has given up 12 high danger chances in each game. Last 2 games. So Joe Pavelski, 8 goals already in this series. Rupe Hintz is playing well. He's at near the top of the point scorers last I looked there in the playoffs. Jason Robertson, I don't think scored a goal. I don't think he scored a goal yet. Tyler Sagan's playing well. Jamie Benn.
It's coming. Well. If the Stars advance, Robo will be heard from.
And I did like what Dave Hackstall did. His approach going into game number 6 to tie it up was, hey, we're still going to stay aggressive. Okay. I don't want our guys to leave anything on the ice and just continue to play aggressive. The one area where they've really improved are the 2 youngsters, Ty Carthier and Matty Berniers. Those 2 young guys are playing out of their minds, and Jordan Eberle's playing well. And we might see Philip Grubauer, the 2 goalies, Ottinger and Grubauer. Who would you give the edge to?
I mean, on paper, it's Ottinger all day. Grubauer has probably been playing a little bit better down the stretch, but Ottinger, I mean, he made some remark, even in the game where Vegas had the lead and wound up losing via shootouts. The game actually where Brossoit was amazing, then got hurt, unfortunately. Ottinger was amazing that game. He broke down a little bit, but he still made some remarkable saves. Then you go back to the overtime loss recently, Paul Cotter's shootout attempt, right? Everyone thought it was in, but Ottinger just stretched out to get it. So when Ottinger gets settled down, he is probably one of the best goalies in the NHL by far, and definitely is he the best remaining goalie? Bobrovsky's playing at an awesome pace, so you can split hairs there, but we're not gonna. I mean, Aidan Hill's no what's the term in Caddyshack? He's no slouch either, So there's a lot of ways to approach that, but give me Grubauer if we're gonna have a choice of who we're gonna play as far as the goalies go, but Ottinger is human as well. We've learned down the stretch.
One of the things I forgot to mention earlier, one of the areas
so many things you probably missed. It's so much.
I know there's so much, but I was just thinking, one of the boldest moves by Cassidy to show, hey, this is my locker room, sitting Phil Kessel this past series. I don't think a lot of folks really had noticed that were viewing from other parts of the country on the split screen with cornhole. Oh my goodness, ESPN the television coverage has just been
so
really
when they
bad.
started the ESPN2 feed, I don't know if you saw my Twitter last night, when they started the ESPN2 feed, the sound was not working. All you heard was like a beep, almost like the emergency broadcast system was coming on. And then you heard this weird voice, 1, 2, and then the beep, and then 1, 2.
I didn't hear that.
It is,
How did I miss
and
that? I was
the audio
watching
didn't
it.
match up as well. The audio, so like
Oh,
on the
my
Riley Smith
goodness.
goal, it was normally like the audio is a step behind, right? Because they're calling the game. You can't keep up with that. The audio was actually ahead. So you knew what was happening before the shot was taken. And then
Oh,
after
no.
the first commercial break, I went back to the regular ESPN and it was working at that point. So, you know, it's just like ESPN is just finding so many ways to screw this up. There's all these rumors about they were trying to swap a game and
They were
move
trying
the
to swap the
baseball
game
game
with
to
TNT.
ESPN2 and
Yeah.
like
And they wouldn't get out of a 9-1 game. The score was 9-1.
the NFL even does that. We're gonna go to a more competitive game. We're gonna go to a more competitive sport. Like, come on, ESPN.
Right.
It's just and it's not like we're talking. No disrespect to Stars Seattle, but you have Connor McDavid, the best player, and I know everyone's gonna get mad at me for giving McDavid credit right now, but you have the biggest draw on the planet as far as the National Hockey League is concerned. So let's start this game at 10 o'clock, where people in the 10 and 12 and 13 under age range are never going to be able to even watch McDavid's last game of the 22-23 season. Just the NHL could not have failed more with this series as far as scheduling goes, starting with the BS from the game 2 getting moved from Friday to Saturday, and just like what's going to happen down the stretch with the Stanley Cup? Like, are we going to get a 10 a.m. start for the deciding game down the stretch?
I
Why
mean,
not?
shouldn't they? They already should have everything in place. And the fact that there
Yes.
was
There should be a schedule announcement already for the conference finals for both sides.
right.
Why
And
wouldn't there be?
the fact that there was no Florida Toronto game number 6, I guess, whatever that would have been, the fact that they still had a TV slot for that game, and they just refused to move the VGK game up. And a lot of my media friends from all over the country, a lot of my East Coast friends were either tweeting or texting me like, what is going on there? Like, why would the NHL do this? And they just cannot seem to get out of their own way. That's it.
This was probably more of an ESPN thing, but either way, it's terrible. Whatever the optics are, it was bad. So
And then
you
the
can blame
announcing
the
teams aren't
NHL.
good.
Yeah, you can blame the NHL for the game 2 situation. You can blame ESPN for this one.
Is it
Easily.
WTM? What the Monday time?
We had what the Saturday? Why not?
Well, I just don't understand why any network would put on a hometown announcer. So VGK's analyst, right, is on the TNT broadcast, and he happens to say, "Welcome to the family," to Carlson's baby. Like, welcome to the family. People just want neutral broadcasting.
But ESPN TNT they tilted DS2 to Edmonton the whole time. So
goodness.
We'll take it. We might
All
get
right,
Eddie
this is the last time
Olczyk.
you'll ever see me wearing this jersey. I'm never going to make
no,
a wager.
we'll make a bet. We'll make a bet. If he
I'm
scores
never
like 2
gonna
goals in the
do
game.
another Vegas Bjorn. I can't.
All right.
No more.
That's
wagers.
good. End the show. Let's move forward.
Of course. Coming up tomorrow, of course, we'll find out who VGK's opponent will be. Game number 1, either Wednesday or Thursday, perhaps Thursday now, they're saying. It just depends on that cornhole television schedule there.
It's going to be next Tuesday. It's going to be next Tuesday.
To their conference finals. And of course, don't forget, on Fridays, we have WTF What the Friday. That's our feature. And we appreciate you all tuning in, especially our everydayers. Thanks for making us your first listen. And we'll see you tomorrow. For my man, Chris Golick, Tony Cardasco from Las Vegas. Have a great day, everyone, as we head to the Western Conference Finals.